Welcome everyone to Florida Citrus Mutual's annual meeting and the 2012 Florida Citrus Industries Annual Conference. Can you believe the season's already over? It's been extremely busy this year at Florida Citrus Mutual, and we wanted to give you an overview of some of the projects, some of the issues, and successes we had during the 2011-12 season. No matter the nature of the challenges, you can rest assured we are always focused, committed, and making a difference. Of course, organizing this conference is a big part of what we do. The event has become what Florida Citrus Mutual envisioned initially, a family-oriented gathering that brings the industry together. Many of us in Florida Citrus have known each other for a long time, and it's good to have a forum to do some work, have a little fun, and visit with the Florida Citrus family. We know we can put on a heck of a good conference, but lobbying in Tallahassee and Washington, D.C. is our primary responsibility, and this year was no different. Florida Citrus Mutual this year conducted a successful Washington, D.C. fly-in to talk citrus with our federal representatives and regulators. Growers got to meet with key members of the Florida delegation, including Congressman Dennis Ross, Vern Buchanan, Steve Sutherland, and Tom Rooney, among others. Later we had one-on-one meetings with both United States Senators, Senators Marco Rubio and Bill Nelson. We had ample time to discuss the issues our industry faces, including pest and disease, labor, regulation. Congressman Ross, as a member of the House Judiciary Committee, has been our point person on immigration and H-2A reform, while Rooney and Sutherland both sit on the House Agricultural Committee and will be key as the new Farm Bill progresses. But Mutual's activities in D.C. included much more than the fly-in. Our big federal project for the year was to advance a proposal to capture a portion of the tariff on imported citrus to help fund invasive pest and disease research. This very exciting plan will provide the industry with a dedicated long-term source of research funding. Senator Bill Nelson leads the charge on the proposed Citrus Research Trust Fund. He has been a fantastic ally for Florida Citrus. Mutual remains optimistic that we can hook the measure to a customs reauthorization bill later this year. In the meantime, Senator Nelson was able to garner $2 million this year, and we expect another $9 million over the next 4 years from USDA to support citrus research. In total, that's equivalent to over 6 cents a box if that was a grower assessment. Closer to home, the 2012 session in Tallahassee was extremely successful. Mutual and agriculture in general had several big wins. Agriculture's and Florida Citrus' best win in Tallahassee was proposed legislation that did not pass. Mandatory e-verification language did not survive committee review. After last year's narrow defeat of mandatory e-verification, this year's failure was more than welcome. Redistricting was another high priority during the session, and agricultural groups across Florida and Florida Citrus Mutual worked hard to make sure agriculture was represented in the new district maps. We are. And Florida's $70 billion state budget contained a $2 million appropriation for Florida citrus research. The money will be sent to the Citrus Research and Development Foundation on July 1, 2012. The $2 million equates to a 1.2 cents per box savings to the citrus grower. The industry was also successful in revising Chapter 601 to better fit the needs of the Florida Department of Citrus and the Florida citrus grower. In addition, we were able to amend that state's tax code to allow citrus harvesting equipment to use red diesel. This initiative will save citrus growers more than $500,000 a year. And speaking of tax breaks, thanks to the efforts of Florida agricultural groups, including Mutual, off-farm packing houses will not have to pay the taxes on electricity. The measure passed in the House Omnibus Economic Development Bill. Of course, nothing would have been possible without the strong friends and allies in the legislature. Our citrus legislative leaders are responsible for and deserve full credit for a successful 2012 session. They include Senators J.D. Alexander and Alan Hayes, and Representatives Denise Grimsley, Ben Albritton, Steve Christofouli, and of course, Commissioner of Agriculture Adam Putnam, always supportive of our efforts. These folks truly are the champions of agriculture, and we're proud to list them as allies. Not only did we rely on our go-to legislators, but again this year, Florida Citrus Mutual further developed our relationship with the key legislative leaders. For example, we hosted a private dinner with citrus growers and House Speaker Representative Will Weatherford. Also attending were the next two House Speakers, Representatives Dorworth and Corcoran. We expect these relationships to be a big part of our future legislative successes. A big part of our success in Tallahassee this year was made possible by the strong relationship we forged with Governor Rick Scott. We had lunch with him today for the third conference in a row, and let me tell you, he understands the importance of citrus to the state of Florida and the challenges we face. We also had him in a grove for a crop estimate breakfast in October. We think these face-to-face meetings are a big reason he did not veto the $2 million in research funding. And we look forward to working with the governor more, as he has pledged to continue to help our industry. Lobbying is really about building relationships, and as you can tell, Florida Citrus Mutual has made a lot of friends over the years. We believe the key to understanding citrus is getting policy makers into working groves, where they can talk to real growers about real issues. They need to see it, smell it, and taste it. We like to say, once we get them in the grove, we got them. And during the past season, Florida Citrus Mutual hosted dozens of officials, including USDA's Undersecretary, Ann Bartuska, and members of the International Trade Commission, U.S. Representatives Steve Sutherland, Daniel Webster, Jack Kingston, Tom Rooney, as well as many others. Our growers did a great job teaching them about citrus, and as you heard, it showed real results. But it isn't all about communications. We know to have a strong voice in politics, you not only have to build relationships, but you have to put your money where your mouth is. Florida Citrus Mutual did just that this season. We held fundraisers for a number of state and federal candidates, as well as for Florida Citrus Mutual state and federal PACs. Our state and federal Political Action Committee raised and contributed nearly $200,000 during the last election cycle. Trade issues continue to dominate Mutual's agenda during the 2011-12 season. Making sure orange juice imports play by the rules is a huge part of the organization's mission. Although the International Trade Commission voted to revoke the anti-dumping order on Brazilian processors in March, Florida Citrus Mutual will continue to monitor trade data and make sure anybody that sells orange juice into the United States is doing so legally. And of course, maintaining the tariff on imported orange juice is also a #1 job for Florida Citrus Mutual. The regular tariff on orange juice, approximately 29 cents per gallon on concentrate, 17 cents per gallon on NFC, is essential to offset the advantages maintained by Brazil. A cut in the tariff would devastate Florida citrus. Through strong communications, our congressional delegation and the United States trade negotiators are keenly aware of that fact. But these broad issues are only a portion of what we did this season. We also have the nuts and bolts grower services going on every day. As part of Mutual's membership outreach, we held 5 area meetings in Bartow, Sulphur Springs, Immokalee, Traverse, and Vero Beach. The meeting drew more than 200 members and gave growers a forum to discuss issues directly with the Mutual staff. Members also elected Mutual's board of directors at these meetings. We have kept growers informed by our field representatives, as well as publications such as the Triangles and the Market News Bulletin. Mutual also continues to serve as the voice of the Florida citrus grower by fielding hundreds of calls from the local, state, national media, which resulted in widespread coverage of the citrus industry. But all these services would not have been possible if it was not for the leadership of Mutual's 21 directors, and specifically our president, Vic Story. Vic and other directors did a terrific job by setting the course of this organization and actively participating in all legislative and lobbying efforts. Through their leadership, Florida Citrus Mutual also is stronger financially than in the past, and at the same time, we have kept membership dues low. Being on Florida Citrus Mutual's board is a voluntary task, and our board deserves a sincere thank you for choosing to tackle our industry issues and the giving of their time and commitment. And finally, thanks to our membership for their support as well. As you can see, it's been a hectic yet productive year. It always is. This is what we do, and this is what we'll continue to do. And on behalf of the Florida citrus grower, Mutual remains focused, committed, and making a difference.